Hey there, it's Victoria McCooey, and today I want to come on to remind you or assure you that you're not crazy. You're not crazy. The situation you're in is crazy. When you're married to a narcissistic, toxic, controlling, or abusive partner, you can feel like you're the crazy one. And you know why? It's because unless somebody else has been in your situation, they cannot possibly understand what it is you're going through. They cannot understand the level of crazy that you're living with. So when they give you advice, no matter how well meaning it may be, you're going to think that you're crazy because it makes no sense to you. You know that it's absolutely impossible for you to do what they're telling you to do, or you feel that that's the case. So here's some examples. So if you're married to one of these guys, who, and I was, now I coach women who are in this situation, uh, which is such a blessing, because yes, I went through something really, really terrible, but this is just proof that nothing really happens to you, it happens for you. Because if I hadn't had to suffer through that long, horrible, toxic marriage to a really abusive partner, I wouldn't be able to do the work I'm doing now, which is so fulfilling. But that's not what we're here to do. We're here to talk about how you are not the crazy one. So say you go to your friend, your mother, your coworker, whatever, with this news that that your husband is being abusive or controlling to such an extent that you can't live your life. That whatever the situation is, when it reaches that fever pitch, and you know that this cannot be right and you must do something, but the repercussions for anything you do seem so huge that you're paralyzed. Do you know what I'm talking about? I mean, is this resonating with you? I'm imagining that you're saying, yes, this is exactly what I'm going through. All right. So what do they say? I'm thinking back to when I was in this situation. First of all, I was too mortified to tell anyone how I was being treated by my husband. Is that you too? I mean, I was too humiliated. I was too embarrassed, but even if I found someone that I thought would be sensitive enough to what I was going through to understand, and I would tell my closest confidant what was going on, you know what the answer would be? Well, kick him out. Why don't you just kick him out? And this just made me think, am I crazy? Are they crazy? How do you do that? That would never happen in our marriage. Kicking him out was not a viable option. I had no say. I had no voice. What were they thinking? Was I crazy or were they crazy? And I started thinking, well, I must be the crazy one, but that is not an option. I mean, kick him out. Okay, so if you're like I was and had absolutely no say in anything that happened in our family, and we had 3 small children at the time, kick him out, tell him to leave, he'd laugh. I mean, that was not ever, he would tell me to leave. Like, I'm not leaving, you leave, right? I mean, to the point where when we were at the pinnacle of the chaos and the abuse and the fighting and the turmoil, and when I was finally reaching the absolute end of my rope, where it was do or die. Like I couldn't live another minute like that, and I was trying to get my life back, trying to reclaim my power. We were not only not barely speaking, but living under the same roof, which was really tough, and living in the same bedroom. So, of course, there was no way, we couldn't even stand to look at each other. There was no way we were going to sleep in the same bed. So this person, this narcissistic husband, which I'm sure you can relate to if you have one, wouldn't even give up the bed. I mean, there was no kicking him out. I couldn't even kick him out of the bed. It got to be this fight to see, or race, I should say, not a fight, race to see who would get to the bed first. Well, guess who always got the bed? Because I'm busy doing homework with the kids, bathing them, putting them to bed, reading them books, whatever. He would, in the meantime, go claim the bed for himself, which meant I would then be sleeping on a sofa, sleeping in the room with one of the kids, whatever, because there was no way we could be in the same bed. That was ridiculous. And on that rare occasion when I managed to get the bed, then he would go sleep with in one of the kids' rooms or something. But 99% of the time, I was the one kicked out of the bed, right? Because there's no nicety, there's no gentlemanliness, there's no let the lady have the bed. No, they're not wired that way, right? It's also ridiculous to us. We're thinking, kick him out? I can't even get him out of the bed. And the funny thing is then when after our divorce was long over, and I started seeing another man when I was dating someone seriously, and we went away on a vacation, and we're in a hotel, and had not even a fight, a disagreement. And this wonderful, lovely man said to me, "Should I sleep on the sofa?" I'm like, oh, this is what normal people are like. This is what a normal man would do, right? Give up the bed. If we're not happy, you're not happy with me, I don't want to put you out. I don't want you to be uncomfortable all night. I'll go sleep on the sofa. I mean, and all those years, right? You're living with somebody who plays by a whole different set of rules. All right. So what else might your well-meaning friends and family say to you? I remember one was, why don't you go to counseling? Why don't you get him to go to counseling with you? Is your narcissist going to go to counseling? Well, first of all, by definition, they don't think there's anything wrong with them. They're narcissists. Everything's your fault. Everything is somebody else's fault. Nothing is their fault. They're perfect. They don't have to change. So going to a counselor, and really, what really is going on in their mind is they know that they're getting away with something. They don't want to be called out. They don't want to be told that they should change their behavior. They're not going to put up with that. Have you ever met a narcissist who would agree to go to counseling? I mean, that's just not ever going to happen. So I tried this one too. I confided in a close friend and who also had a problem in her marriage and had sought counseling and had good results. And so she gave me the name of the marriage counselor that they had gone to. And I called the marriage counselor, who immediately told me, I can't help you by yourself. I mean, I have to counsel the two of you together. I'm a marriage counselor, so I need you to get him on board. I need you to come together to see me. So, yep, I I told him that I had made an appointment for us in an effort to save our marriage, in an effort to work things out. I wanted us both to go to counseling. What do you think his reaction was to that? You can guess, right? You've probably done the same thing yourself. Who did you tell that we needed marriage? Where did you get the name of this counselor? Who are you talking to? Who knows that you think there's a problem in our marriage? I'm not the one with the problem. You're the one with the problem. You're the one who needs counseling, not me, right? So, best laid plans, it's never going to happen. So you're not crazy. When people tell you this and you're like, that's not an option for me. Is it me? It's not you. It's not you. It's the situation. Or they say, you need to set boundaries. I mean, does that make you laugh? Set boundaries? Well, if you could, you would. All right, here's my own scenario, right? And I tell you these things not to talk about myself, because I want you to know, A, that this happens to other people. You're not alone. And B, maybe you hear some correlation between my story and your story, so that you can see that we work through it. It doesn't have to be the end of your life. I mean, look at me now, right? I'm done with that marriage, onto a new life, total transformation, total recreation, completely happy life, happy family, happy kids. It can be done, all right? It's not easy, but there's hope, okay? This is why I tell you these things. All right, so set boundaries. Here's what happened when I was trying to set some boundaries at the culmination of all the chaos in my own first marriage. He was taking my money, literally taking checks that came to me for the work I would do. I was a consultant, so I got paid by a project. Checks would come in the mail, and I had no control. He would take them. I would try to intercept them. He always managed to get to it first. He would take them and deposit them into his account, forge my name, absolutely no qualms about it. And if I even threatened to call the bank and tell them not to honor his check, the repercussions were just like too big and too bad. He would, so one day I actually did. Yeah, this was the real beginning of the end. When I actually stole my own money. I was shaking like a leaf. I was so afraid. This is where you are right now. Looking back, I'm laughing. I'm laughing at how I saw this, right? But that's where I was. I had been brainwashed. My self-esteem had been whittled away for so many years. Has yours? I bet. Because when you've been abused like this, financially, verbally, emotionally, psychologically, it doesn't have to be just physically. It can be all these different kinds of abuse for so long, for year after year. It's like Chinese water torture. It chips away at you until you're just a shell of a person. You have no self-esteem at all. So when I was so scared that he was going to catch me depositing my own check for money I had earned into an account that I had just opened that he didn't know about, I was shaking like a leaf. And guess what? Yes, he did find out. He did find out. And the repercussions were severe. He told me he would never pay another penny toward our house. Everything was going to be on me now. And like an idiot, I'm just sitting there going, oh no. But this is where you are. You believe all of his BS because you've been programmed to. And he told me, he would burn our house down before he gave me a penny, before I could have our house. Or, here was the really bad one. He said, one day they're going to find you and me both dead because I'm going to do it. Well, I didn't believe him. I didn't think he would really kill me, but, there were threats like that. Threats. Yeah, it's scary. It's scary stuff. And normal people in normal relationships with normal husbands don't get it. They can't. Until you've lived like this, you cannot possibly empathize. All right, so what do you do? What do you do? You seek out people who get it. You surround yourself, or try to, with people who've been where you are, who've gotten out on the other side. Support groups, whether they're in real life or virtual. There are so many narcissistic abuse recovery support groups on Facebook, whatever. Or you go get professional help, or you hire a coach who can coach you through this process. All right, so that's what I do. I'm a coach. I'm a transformation coach. I help women who are in these abusive situations with a narcissistic husband help them reclaim their power so that they can then get out of this marriage, and help them shift their mindset so they understand that they can and they must get out of this marriage, and that they are going to be just fine, better than ever, in fact, on the other side. So, a lot of people ask me, what's the difference between a coach and a therapist? Why wouldn't I see a therapist? And I have nothing against therapy. I've seen therapists. I've had good therapists, I've had bad therapists. Just like they're good coaches, they're bad coaches. The difference is, here's how I explain it. I didn't make this up. I won't take credit. I read it somewhere and I can't remember where. But if you show up at the therapist's office with a suitcase, the therapist will help you unpack it and figure out why you put all those things in there. If you show up with a suitcase at the coach's office, the coach will say, where do you want to go? And let's figure out how you're going to get there. So that's the difference. There's a time and a place for therapy to figure out what happened in your past, in your childhood, why you got into this dynamic, into this relationship, how to avoid making the same mistakes going forward, all good stuff. But if you're in this this fever pitch dynamic, like if you are, I remember how that felt. Like if you're in this toxic, contentious dynamic, and you need to make changes, if you're sick all the time, tired all the time, depressed, can't function, that's part of how this happened, how this works. You can't function like this. If that's where you are, this is an emergency situation. You need to get out. You need to get out. And if you need support in helping you get out of the situation, that is why you would hire a coach. And so if this resonates with you, if this is where you are right now, here's the first thing to do. If you're interested in finding out more about what my coaching looks like, what my programs are like, how I help my clients, the first step is to have a free call with me. That is a session where we talk on the phone. You can be anywhere in the world. We talk on the phone, you tell me your story, and I'll ask you some questions, and I'll find out from you if I'm the right coach, if I'm the right person to help, if you're the right, in the right place at the right time, and that I can help you. I'll be totally transparent. There's no pressure. There's no commitment. We honestly talk about whether we're a good fit or not. And if we are, I'll invite you to learn more about my different coaching programs, and we see if you want to try that. All right. So there is a link here to my calendar where you can book your free call at a time that works for you. And I really hope that if this is the time for you, if this is when you need to make the big first step into figuring out how to make this happen, then I hope you'll reach out to me, because I'd really like to help. All right, thanks, and I'll talk to you soon.